religion spread all over the world from Babylon. They found expression in all countries of the ancient world with only a change in the names of the gods and slight variations in the rituals. While the mystery religions were practiced in all of the countries of the ancient world, it was in Egypt where centuries of devotion developed them to their highest degree. According to Mason Manly P. Hall's book, Freemasonry, the Ancient Egyptians, and I quote, "It is now generally acknowledged that the Egyptians, of all the ancient peoples, were the most learned in the occult sciences of nature. The wisest of philosophers from other nations visited Egypt to be initiated in the sacred mysteries by the priests of Thebes, Memphis, and Hermopolis. There is indeed, as we have established, a very definite link between the Egyptian mystery religion and the Masonic Lodge. This link can be readily established from the words of Masonic authors, and testimony can be provided to remove all reasonable doubt." In the book, The Meaning of Masonry, by past Provincial Grand Registrar W. L. Wilmshurst, we find the statement, and I quote, "I am acquainted, for instance, with an Egyptian ceremonial system, some 5,000 years old, which taught precisely the same things as Masonry does." In the book, Freemasonry, Its Hidden Meaning, by George H. Steinmetz, we find the statement, and I quote, "Regardless of the origin of the modern lodge, or the name Freemason, we can, after freeing the symbolism of modern adaptations, discern in Freemasonry the outline of the teachings of the ancient mysteries of Egypt." In the same book, Mr. Steinmetz makes the statement connecting Freemasonry and the Egyptian mysteries. And I quote, "If the symbols can be consistently interpreted in this manner, throughout the 3 degrees we have confirmed Freemasonry to be the reincarnation of the ancient mysteries of Egypt." 33-degree Mason Manly P. Hall relates the efforts of early Masonic historians to link Hiram Abiff to the Egyptian mystery religion. Early Masonic historians such as Albert Mackey, Robert Fregould and Albert Pike were of a single purpose in their efforts to establish a definite correspondence between the Hiramic legend of Freemasonry and the Osiris myth as expounded in the initiatory rituals of the Egyptians. From the Lost Keys of Freemasonry by 33rd degree Manly P. Hall, man is a god in the making, and as in the mystic myths of Egypt on the potter's wheel he is being molded. Unas eats magical charms, behold, Unas eateth of that which the red crown sendeth forth, he increaseth, and the magical charms of the gods are in his belly. The following quote is a comment on the texts about King Unas by the translator of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, each Wallace Budge, the notion that, by eating the flesh, or particularly by drinking the blood, of another living being, a man absorbs his nature or life into his own, is one which appears among primitive peoples in many forms. It is indeed an accurate assessment that these murders in the Unas texts were performed in a ritual and religious manner for the purpose of obtaining the life force or energy force of the victim. Not only was this the purpose of these ancient Egyptian texts, but it is also the purpose behind modern Satanism. This common underlying purpose can be seen by comparing these texts and their assessment with the words of Master Satanist, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Grand Master, and a 97th degree the Rite of Memphis, of Aleister Crowley. He writes, and I quote, "The blood is the life." This simple statement is explained by the Hindus by saying that the blood is the principal vehicle of vital prana. It was the theory of the ancient magicians, that any living being is a storehouse of energy varying in quantity according to the size and health of the animal, and in quality according to its mental and moral character. At the death of the animal this energy is liberated suddenly. For magical purposes the animal should therefore be killed within the circle, or the triangle, as the case may be, so that its energy cannot escape. An animal should be selected whose nature accords with that of the ceremony. For the highest spiritual working one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. Those magicians who object to the use of blood have indeed vowed to replace it with incense. But the bloody sacrifice, though more dangerous, is more efficacious. And for nearly all purposes human sacrifice is the best. Here is an undercover footage of a goat being sacrificed inside a pentagram in a Masonic lodge in Turkey for a high degree initiation.
Whatever part of the world thou art, and answer our questions. Come presently, come visibly, come affably, and respect which we desire. All the living God. We call Shaddai, come, wise letter, Adonai, Shaddai, Spirit.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أوحي إلي أنه استمع نفر من الجن فقالوا إنا سمعنا قرآنا عجبا يهدي إلى الرشد فآمنا به ولن نشرك بربنا أحدا وأنه تعالى جد ربنا ما اتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا وأنه كان يقول سفيهنا على الله شططا وأنا ظننا أن لن تقول الإنس والجن على الله كذبا وأنه كان رجال من الإنس يعوذون برجال من الجن فزادوهم رهقا وأنهم ظنوا كما ظننتم أن لن يبعث الله أحدا.
We will discuss the jinn in great detail in a later episode, so stay tuned. Let us re-ask the question then, how did Freemasonry end up in Europe? 11th century Europe was ruled by the Catholic Church, which held a firm grip on all aspects of society. This enabled Pope Urban II to wage war on the Muslim Caliphate in Jerusalem, the First Crusade, and on what he called the War of the Cross, to recapture Jerusalem from Muslim rule. It had been under Muslim rule since the year 637. But in 1099 this rule was brought to a bloody and sudden end. And it was said that the blood ran in the streets, knee-high to the horses. Women were raped and murdered, and children were put to the sword. Out of this bloodshed and terror, a group of warrior monks arose. The Knights of the Temple of Solomon, or what they were later to be known by, the Knights Templars. 20 years after Jerusalem was taken, the dome of the Rock Mosque was seized by the Templars, and they began excavating underneath the mosque, and what they found changed history forever. What did they find? Documents and books of the secret arts of black magic, Kabbalah and the ancient mystery schools. In 1187, after 200 years of war, the Muslims recaptured Jerusalem under the leadership of Saladin.
Will you yield the city?
Before I lose it, I will burn it to the ground. Your holy places, ours, every last thing in Jerusalem that drives men mad.
I wonder if it would not be better if you did. You will destroy it?
Every stone. And every Christian knight you kill will take 10 Saracens with him. You will destroy your army here and never raise another. I swear to God that to take this city will be the end of you.
Your city is full of women and children. If my army will die, so will your city.
You offer terms I ask none.
I will give every soul safe conduct to Christian lands. Every soul. The women, the children, the old, and all your knights and soldiers, and your queen. Your king, such as yours, I leave to you, and what God will make of it. No one will be harmed, I swear to God.
Christians butchered every Muslim within the walls when they took this city.
I am not those men. I am Salahuddin. Salahuddin.
Once the Templars arrived back in Europe, they became very wealthy, they became the bankers, and the finances of all the European monarchs. In 1307, or 120 years after their departure from Jerusalem, their secret order was in place and fully operational. Pope Clement VII and King Philip of France accused the Templars of several heresies, including devil worship, black magic, sodomy, and many other mortal sins, which were part of their newfound rituals. The Templars were rounded up, tortured, imprisoned, and put to death. But a few of them managed to escape the same fate of their brethren, and that's when they went underground and changed their identity from the Knights Templars to the Freemasons. They found home in Scotland. King Robert the Bruce was excommunicated by the Pope, so the Knights Templars or Freemasons were welcomed with open arms. Both shared the same enemy, the Catholic Church. In the mid-15th century, the Crusader William Sinclair started construction of Rosslyn Chapel, which is the first landmark of the Freemasons, and is supposed to be a representation of Solomon's Temple. Another William Sinclair was the first Scottish Grand Master of Freemasonry at Colwinning Lodge, which is the first Freemasonic lodge, also called the Mother Lodge, or Lodge Number 0.
2,000 years before mankind was created, there were creatures on the earth, and they caused corruption on it and shed blood. Then God sent against them a troop of angels who casted them away to islands in the seas. It is time to start defining and explain some of our subject matter I have mentioned previously, and will continue to mention throughout the series. We will go back and sketch the history of the Masons and further discuss their craft. But for now, let us ask a question: who are, or what are the Jinn? They are unseen creatures that we share this earth with. They are interdimensional creatures that have been called by many names: aliens, spirits, Ethereans, ultra-terrestrials, and more. In God's book, the Holy Quran, their creator, God Almighty, gives them a name: the Jinn. The Arabic word, jinn, means hidden, or that which is concealed. Under normal circumstances, they can see us, and we cannot see them. The jinn have a free will to choose, just like human beings. The Bible calls Satan a fallen angel. This is incorrect. Angels were created from pure light, and do not have free will or the ability to choose. They only obey the orders of their Creator. The jinn are of three types: those who have wings and fly in the air, those who resemble snakes and dogs, and those who travel about ceaselessly. No human can see the jinn in their true essence. However, some resemble vultures and snakes, others tall men in white garb. They may even appear as dragons, or a number of other animals. In addition to their animal forms, the jinn occasionally assume human form to mislead and destroy their human victims. For example, in one of the historical battles of the Muslims, named the Battle of Badr, the most powerful amongst the jinn, or Satan, assumed the form of a man named Saraka ibn Malik, and urged the pagan Arabs to move forward to the battle, saying, Then God sent the angel Gabriel against him, and when Satan saw him, he cried out to the pagans, I have nothing to do with you. I see that which ye do not see. I fear Allah, and Allah is severe in retribution, and then he fled. The jinn can even possess human beings, including in black magic rituals, when they are summoned by the magicians. I will explain with little more detail on how this is done by the magicians, and show you via video illustration. Unlike humans, the jinn live for thousands of years, and have the ability to see angels as previously mentioned. Let us view a video, which shows the Islamic exorcism. A jinn who is 7,000 years old, has possessed a man.
فاريا شوف تغير اسمه يقول اسمي فاريا فاريا وين أهل فاريا؟ كونغو كونغو شنو كونغو أستاذ كونغو شيا؟
كونغو اسم جمهورية في أفريقيا.
في أفريقيا نعم. كونغو أنت شو اسمك؟ فاريا أنت مسلم مسيحي يهودي؟ جولك يعني يهودي. شو يقول أستاذ؟ يهودي. يقول عن يهودي. كل الزين. الله أكبر. شوف أنت مرة ثانية تجي يمي، مو صحيح يا هذا الأخ علي محمد جيت يمي؟ يقول نعم نعم. أنت تستسلم لو ما تستسلم؟ أنت مسلمان يا نبي مسلمان؟ قربان تو تمنى كم صار؟ بالله بس درو مكان درو كليد ده. كم صار يا قربان؟ لازم انت راس بقى تمنى كم ده؟ بس سببك. حتى زار صار حوازار درون عقي. الله أكبر. هذا يقول أني مرأة عمري 7,000 سنة، وأني أهلي بالكونغو. هو منطقة أفريقيا. أنت أسود أترشي
أشبستي
قربان. تو ساحر عندنا نسيت الغاز عندنا نسيت. لا قربان تو بو شاتنا ولا شيء؟
أسينا هو استابو.
إيه
إيش بدو أسيرة الله، إيش بدو أسيرة الله نحن هو استابو. أميس شو عنا شيء زور جوان بخ جوان بلشاوك يا كاري درا.
عشق يقول. يقول هذا كان يشتغل باليونان.
يشتغل باليونان، وأنا عاشق لأنه جميل جدا.
أنت بارك الله. تو أتمنى بيصير ليش يوم كسر؟
لا
هذي بو ولا لا شيء من لا شيء ولا
لا
بونا تواني ولا لا شيء من وازي لبينا
ما تواني
بو أخذونا تواني تخوف زام دبر شيء بونا تواني سبوك راسي كم بلي عزك مع كتاب راب وخلد لين جندلويا
لا تدروني
هذي بوت عندهم عالي مكان ما مستحق إنكار ذكر. قسم من الشيوخ وساداته طارق الهاشمي هو عنده قناة فضائية يقول الجن هو وسواس ما يعبد جسم الإنسان. هذا كلام صحيح؟
لا
يدخل جسم الإنسان جني؟
نعم.
نعم اسمع يا الدكتور طارق الهاشمي وأيها العلماء الإسلام أنتم تقول إحنا عالمين. هذا يقول الجن يدخل جسم الإنسان وهذا شو بعينكم صوت وصورة. زورن الامرو نتشنر قربان نتشنر يقول الملائكة يقول روح إذا ما تروح سيرا ندك كوشينا في الروين استهدنا أمر شوية من برامج راوسان نتشنر
والله ساون
وزورن
والله
ملائكة زورنا
خاوني قولان
أمن سنفيها
كتير
كيف
قرآن
الله أكبر يقول عندك كتب عليها القرآن معجزة. الله أكبر ونسى برنامج إخواني برنامج. قل أوحي إلي أنه استمع نفر من الجن فقالوا إنا سمعنا قرآنا عجبا يهدي إلى الرشد فآمنا به ولن نشرك بربنا أحدا وأنه تعالى جد ربنا ما اتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولهم عذاب واصب إلا من خطف الخطفة فاتبعه شهاب ثاقب. صدق الله العظيم. تيجي شو قربان؟ الزباب شهادة بنا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله
أشهد
أن لا إله إلا الله
أن لا إله
إلا الله
إلا الله وأشهد أن
محمدا
محمد
رسول الله وعيسى رسول الله
وعيسى
رسول الله عبد الله وموسى نبي الله عبد الله. خلاص استاذ يا ربي كان باذن يخش لي جوانك يا ربي كان لا ممنع كان يقول في قادة المتور ولا تقنطوا من الرحمة. قربان السيد كان زون ساعتين في الفزانة يلا بدنا نبدا بداية ان شاء الله. ونادي شو دري هسه استاذ الشام بنفهم هسه اولاد يعرفوا بدل شو المسلمه او يقولوا لك عفريتك هسه يقولوا عفريت يقول عفريتم
والله عفريتم مش فهم جوري معلومات بسبب ذلك الكدوانه من اسمهم ذلك الكزانه من نخوش درونيه يعني.
There's one thing you should know about me.
You're talking about dreams?
Not exactly.
We create the world of the dream. We bring the subject into that dream.
Already. Dreams feel real while we're in them. It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange. I have it under control. see out of control.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. That was his power.
Are you hypnotized right now? Be honest.
No, I'm awake.
You're awake. Totally awake. Are you hypnotized, ma'am? You guess so? Okay. Are you hypnotized?
No.
You are not hypnotized. Are you hypnotized?
No.
No. Your name, ma'am?
Patty.
Your name, sir?
Mary.
Your name is?
Mary.
Your name is?
Patty.
Your name is?
Bob.
Your name is?
Bob.
Could I see your name tag for a second, if you don't mind? It says Karen. What's your name?
Bob.
Are you positive?
Yes.
Are you positive your name is Mary? Yes. Are you a betting person? I got a bet you might be interested in. I'm willing to bet you $500 that your name is actually Paul, not Mary. I'll bet you $500 your name is Paul. Would you take that bet?
No.
What's your name?
Mary.
I'll bet it's Paul. Would you bet $500 it's Mary?
Yeah.
Would you shake on that? Before you shake, how many people in this room think his name is Paul? Can I see by show of hands? See all those hands up there? See them all? How many people think his name is Mary? See up.
واستفزز من استطعت منهم بصوتك وأجلب عليهم بخيلك ورجلك وشاركهم في الأموال والأولاد وعدهم وما يعدهم الشيطان إلا غرورا إن عبادي ليس لك عليهم سلطان وكفى بربك وكيلا.
Your brain, the most complex organ in your body, the seat of who we are, what we are, the container for our thoughts and our memories. In short, we are our brains. Our brains are built from many parts that perform different functions. Deep in the centre of the brain is the brainstem. This is the oldest part of the brain and has also been called the reptilian brain. It controls many essential functions such as breathing and heart rate or blood pressure. It's whether we feel hungry or thirsty. It's also the seat of our most fundamental emotions, happiness or sadness, fear and love or hate. They all seem to reside in the brainstem. The occipital lobe contains the visual cortex, and so is concerned mainly with vision. The parietal lobe is concerned with processing sensory information and integrating it with the visual information from the occipital lobe. The temporal lobe is the centre for memory and learning. It contains the hippocampus and a number of other regions that are required for us to recognise different objects, faces, sounds and environments. The frontal lobe is probably the most important part of the brain for defining us as who we are. It's where our higher emotions and personality reside, as well as language and social behaviour, lots of the things that we think of as being human. It's our decision-making centre and contains the motor cortex, which controls voluntary movement. At the back of the brain are the two lobes of the cerebellum. This region of the brain is a coordinating centre for movement, allowing us to move multiple sets of muscles in a coordinated fashion so that we can walk and talk, pick things up and put things down. Your brain is made up of billions upon billions of cells called neurons. These cells are very specialised, with long extensions through which they talk to each other and form large and complex networks. These networks are the basis of how the brain does what it does. The processes are of two basic types. Dendrites receive incoming information from other neurons. Signals pass through the cell body or soma, where, if sufficient information is received, a signal is passed to the other neurons via the axon. This is happening in billions of neurons across the brain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's happening right now while you're watching this. So how do neurons talk to each other? Neurons are usually seen to use electrical signals to communicate. However, the act of passing the signal from one neuron to another is actually a chemical process. This happens at structures called synapses. These are formed from the terminal of an axon and a swelling on the dendrite called a spine. Electrical signals from the axon pass to the dendrite via a chemical messenger called a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter is stored in small vesicles inside the axon terminal, or the presynaptic bouton. When a signal arrives down the axon, one or more of these vesicles joins with the outer membrane of the bouton and releases its contents into a small gap between the axon and dendrite. This is the synaptic cleft. On the other side of the synaptic cleft are receptor molecules to which the transmitter binds in much the same way as a key fits into a lock. The receptor molecules act as poles through the outer membrane of the dendritic spine, allowing charged atoms or ions to cross. This entry of charged ions into the spine recreates the signal that was sent from the previous neuron, and in this way information can be passed from one neuron to the next and around the neuronal network. Although we've seen only one neuron here talking to one other neuron, in reality each neuron talks to many others and can have thousands upon thousands of spines. In this way, an extraordinarily complex system can be built that allows us to see, hear, to experience the world around us. It allows us to walk and talk, and to laugh and cry, and to be who we are. So we really are our brain.